The spaceship of the Universal Federation has exploded. In the Earth Federation, Senator Smith sighed heavily, finding it hard to accept this blow. Senator, please accept our condolences. I know. Smith took a deep breath, then announced, inform everyone, hold a global mourning event, all units to fly flags at half-mast. Once the news spread, the whole world was shocked. Farewell to the envoy of the Universal Federation. Farewell, messenger of peace. On the internet, there was a pervasive sense of sorrow. Major websites also timely turned their pages black and white. Numerous influencers wept inconsolably. Some couldn't bear the shock and fainted, attracting a crowd and a flurry of digital gifts. However, unlike the overseas countries, Great Xia had already returned to its normal life. On the internet or on television, no more news related to the Universal Federation was disclosed. Even if someone relayed the news from foreign websites, it would be noticed by some mysterious force and deleted instantly. This sparked discussion overseas. What is the Great Xia up to? I noticed that their websites are still colorful, not even a candle lit. One just spoke with my family back home. They have even canceled the 7-day celebration. No fireworks or firecrackers allowed. Not only that, they didn't even report the explosion of the Universal Federation spaceship. It's utterly disappointing. Damn, is the Great Xia in league with the villains? Seeing these discussions, Smith quickly logged into the official websites of various Great Xia units and found that, just as netizens said, none of them had changed their pages to black and white or issued any official announcements. This infuriated him, and he sent people to inquire. Great Xia's wireless network equipment is damaged and under repair. Damn, did I ask them that? Annoyed, Smith asked, didn't you make it clear? Ask them why there was no announcement about the Universal Federation spaceship explosion. We did ask, the staff member replied aggrievedly. Send it again, ask again. Shortly after, another message came from Great Xia. People of Great Xia are more concerned about their own lives, not focusing on things they cannot change. Seeing this reply, Smith frowned. There's definitely something wrong. Send people to investigate what's happening in the Great Xia. How did they trigger the particle singularity collapse bomb? Morrow was somewhat shocked. Why on earth would they self-destruct? The detector showed that ShuttleNo.io disappeared when it was still 20 million kilometers away from the Earth. According to the gravitational fluctuation, it was the result of ShuttleNo.io's self-destruction. Captain, before the disappearance of ShuttleNo.io, its gravitational waves were covered by a comet's gravity. I suspect, did they mistake that comet for the Earth? That's impossible. Morrow frowned. Even if they're that stupid, they wouldn't misidentify the Earth. Furthermore, the entire flight path was computer-controlled. Currently, there are two possibilities. The first possibility is that the Earth has some powerful deception technology, making ShuttleNo.io believe the comet was the Earth, leading to self-destruction. The second possibility is that there was a powerful weapon on the comet, and ShuttleNo.io, realizing it couldn't escape, had to self-destruct. But no, ShuttleNo.io didn't make any evasive actions before self-destruction, indicating there were no weapons on the comet. Perhaps their computer malfunctioned, mistakenly identifying the comet as the Earth, choosing to self-destruct. The crowd discussed for a while but came to no conclusion. After a while, someone reported, Captain, Leader Seth requests to dispatch another shuttle. They think that this incident was an accident and ShuttleNo.io made a mistake.
Impossible.
Morrow shook his head. There are no coincidences on the battlefield. This was definitely an enemy strategy. In his heart, he felt it was highly likely that the enemy had a data interference method, causing ShuttleNo.io to think it had reached the Earth. Get the trajectory of ShuttleNo.io and the distribution of the ships that intercepted it. After carefully studying it, Morrow found nothing suspicious. Even after running the data through the computer, the calculated results showed nothing unusual. Everything seemed natural. But the more natural it was, the more suspicious it felt under these circumstances. The enemy certainly has a method we are unaware of. Morrow frowned. The only chance to employ such a method was during the breakthrough of the defense line. Their Martian defense line might have something capable of invading or damaging the computer. Captain, How should we respond to Leader Seth's request? Moro pondered for a moment, then said, Operation Decapitation has failed. Until we understand why Shuttle No IO self-destructed, we can't use this plan again. Tell them to establish a temporary base in the nearby asteroid belt and prepare for a protracted war. Captain, in this case, should we send the engineering ship over? No. We only have one engineering ship left now, and we can't risk it. Moro shook his head. Dispatch a fleet to escort the engineering ship to Pluto to set up a production line there. Captain, if it's a long-term war, should we deploy the robots? If we don't deploy the robots, who will make the weapons? The subordinate awkwardly smiled, quickly adding, Which generation of robots should we activate? For regular production, use the first generation. For key areas, use the second. Watch closely. If there's a trend of robots evolving to the third generation, eliminate it promptly. Yes. About 100 million kilometers outside the Mars defense line, over 60 battleships spread out in a trapezoidal formation. Leader Seth, we received orders from Captain Moro, asking us to establish a temporary base in a nearby asteroid belt. Damn it, Shuttle 10 really drives me crazy. We broke through the toughest defense lines, only to fail at the least expected place. The squadron leaders were filled with fury. If Shuttle 10 had been successful, they would have already completed most of their mission. The rest would only be wrapping up. But now, they were required to establish a temporary base and prepare for a protracted war. Let's calm down. The enemy just possesses late-stage Level 1 technology. We can certainly win, it's just going to take a little more time. Yeah, after all these years, what's a bit more time? Seth's face was still full of anger as he said grimly, Pass the order down. All battleships are to discharge all their carried combat energy. He still wasn't satisfied and added, Also, request Captain Moro to construct a fifth-generation Star Destroyer cannon in the asteroid belt to smash their entire defense line in one shot. The power of this particle black hole collapse bomb is too great. Zhao Yu didn't expect that his 100 escort ships, located 450,000 kilometers away from the enemy shuttle ship, couldn't escape the onslaught and turned into fragments. True, we are only 380,000 kilometers away from the Earth. If such a particle black hole collapse bomb explodes on the Earth, we might not be able to escape either. Uncle De looked solemn and said, After some analysis, I realized that our ships were destroyed by the gravitational waves emanating from the black hole's expansion. With such a force, we don't seem to have any effective defense measures. This implies that if an enemy particle black hole collapse bomb explodes nearby, it signifies death. Indeed, it's terrifying. Fortunately, this weapon can only be launched by a spacecraft. Zhao Yu sighed, then asked, What's the situation on the front line? Commander, the enemy's battleships have retreated and are anchored in the asteroid belt. Zhao Yu nodded slightly, then asked, How long will it take to repair the bases near our Inferno line? We have lost 393 bases this time. The fifth base has over 500 spare bases. It will take 3 days to repair. Then please repair them as soon as possible. Divert some resources to make bases, and replenish the fifth base as soon as possible. The enemy's offensive has temporarily slowed down, and Zhao Yu took a breather. Fortunately, everything was under Uncle Da's watchful eyes, so he didn't need to worry too much. Commander, the resources sent by Xia have been inspected by robots. There are no issues. Uncle Da paused for a moment, then said, Regarding the destruction of the enemy's shuttle ship, the Earth Federation held a global mourning event. Global mourning, how filial they are. They probably don't even know that the shuttle was headed their way, do they? Zhao Yu chuckled, finding the situation absurd. Uncle Da added, However, Xia did not respond, and selectively disconnected the internet, blocking related information. What are they trying to do? Zhao Yu asked, puzzled. Judging by Xia's recent actions, one suspect they might be considering to side with us. Siding with us? Yes. Uncle Da nodded and said, I checked the public opinion on the Earth's network, and there are mainly two camps. One camp advocates siding with us, thinking that we are close enough to easily destroy them. The other camp firmly believes in the Universal Federation. They think we wouldn't dare to attack Earth, and that the Universal Federation will eventually triumph. Zhao Yu asked, has the Moral Fleet sent any more messages to the Earth? No. Has the Blue Star sent any messages?
Yes.
Uncle Da nodded. The Earth Federation expressed concern to the Moral Fleet. The content is quite disturbing. I'd rather not elaborate. No matter what they say, just make sure we know what both sides are communicating. Zhao Yu hoped that the Moral Fleet would trust the messages from the Earth. This way, he might be able to take advantage of the situation. Having said that, seeing Uncle Da appear to have something more to say, he asked directly, is there anything else?
Yes.
Uncle Da's face was complicated. Xia says that if we need it, they can help. Whether it's manpower or resources, they can provide as much as possible. Zhao Yu couldn't help but be intrigued and asked, what do you think? Are they telling the truth, or is this some kind of trick? I have no idea, Uncle Da shook his head. Deception among humans was not his strong suit. True or false, we'll know if we try. After thinking for a while, Zhao Yu finally said, tell Xia that we are in a tight situation on the front line and lack resources. We need their support. Commander, we still have a lot of resources. They mine resources much slower than we do. No, it's just a test. Zhao Yu calmly said, if they harbor any double dealings, they will surely send a message to the Moral Fleet. Also, I want to see what they mean by maximum support. Uncle Da nodded. Since this touched on his blind spot, he could only follow Zhao Yu's instructions. Understood. One will relay the message as you asked. Senator Chu, what do you mean? To leave a way out for the people of Earth. You're bringing Great Xia to death? Who knows, maybe you are leading overseas to the abyss too. The conversation went nowhere and the phone line was cut. The moon base has responded. They say they're under pressure on the front lines and need our support. In the Xiaodu's base, several council members gathered together. Everyone had a serious look on their faces. The atmosphere was heavy and quiet, with no one speaking for a long time. After a while, Senator Sun took the lead to break the silence. If the front lines are under pressure, can they hold on? Senator Chu gave him a sideways glance. Regardless of who wins, fence-sitters will not end well. Even if we back out now, when the future United Federation occupies the Earth, we will become marginalized. On the other hand, if we help them out now when they need it most, if the moon wins, we win? Senator Zhou was intrigued. What are you suggesting? Go all in. Colonel Chu stated seriously, the cosmic environment is complex. We are like ants facing two mountains. We must climb one or the other. Waiting at the foot of the mountain, we will miss the opportunity and never have the chance to reach the top again. Only when we stand at the top can we truly understand the state of the universe and plan for the future. Both the moon base and the United Federation could deceive us and ultimately destroy us. This is a mystery box, and until the very end, nobody knows who is right or wrong. Now, overseas has chosen the United Federation, so we will choose the moon base. Assuming that both sides don't end in certain death, we have a 50% chance of winning. The council members thought about this for a long while and eventually agreed with Colonel Chu's words. In that case, you go and respond. See what support they need. Returning to the surface, Colonel Chu took out his holographic touch watch and dialed Zhao Yu's number. Even though everyone trusted him and was willing to bet their nation's fate on his plan, he wasn't entirely sure himself. He was hoping to gain some confidence from Zhao Yu. At the moon base, Zhao Yu looked at the incoming call in surprise. He was just a representative of the Blue Moon Technology Company. Why would they be calling him? After some hesitation, he answered the call. Hello, Mr. Zhao. Helio. Colonel Chu got straight to the point. We plan to fully support the moon. We're just not sure what they need us to do. Full support? Zhao Yu responded with a grin that wasn't quite a grin. Aren't you afraid of reprisals from the United Federation afterwards? Colonel Chu shook his head. If the United Federation is truly as they say, then even if there's retaliation, it would be directed at us, not Xia. Zhao Yu nodded slightly, surprised at the resolution of Xia's top brass, and asked, what do you think you can do? After a moment's contemplation, Colonel Chu responded, in terms of technology, the moon is strong. They don't need our help. All one can think of is manpower. We can't promise much else, but we Xia do have a lot of people. Zhao Yu also sank into thought, considering what Xia could do. Seeing this, Colonel Chu asked, Mr. Zhao, I've heard you say before that the universe follows the dark forest theory. So, is this United Federation real or not? Zhao Yu laughed. Do you believe what one say? Just give it a try. It's fake. Zhao Yu responded briefly without giving too much explanation. I understand now. Thank you, Mr. Zhao. After ending the call, Colonel Chu took a long sigh of relief and a smile appeared on his face. Indeed, this Zhao Yu holds a high position. In such a short time, he knew even the contents of our communication. Throughout this call, although it seemed that Colonel Chu was asking questions, he was actually observing Zhao Yu's reactions. He noticed that Zhao Yu looked relaxed, showing no signs of worry as if facing imminent destruction, seemingly unbothered by the threat of the United Federation. This meant one thing. The moon base had enough confidence to deal with the United Federation. Moreover, based on Zhao Yu's reaction, Colonel Chu inferred that the moon base currently had no intentions of destroying the Earth. Previously, based on the information relayed by Zhang Tao and others, as well as Zhao Yu's behavior on Earth, it was clear that he had his own individual personality with joys and sorrows. So, when he learned that the Earth was to be destroyed, given his background as a former Earth resident, he might show emotions of sorrow, unease, or guilt when dealing with the Earth representative. At the very least, he wouldn't be as relaxed as he was now. From this, it could be inferred that the moon base had no plans to destroy the Earth. The question remained, however, as to what their ultimate purpose was for keeping the Earth. After some thought, Colonel Chu said, "Send a message to the moon. Xia is willing to stand or fall with them, and if necessary, we can mobilize 1.5 billion people to join the war." Why are there no signs of freezing? Outside the Martian defensive line, a scout ship moved back and forth, constantly scanning. Quick, request scout ship number 2 to come over. On the other side, Seth, after receiving the message, looked puzzled. What have they found? We don't know. They just requested scout ship number 2 to go over. Then send it over. Half an hour later, another message came from the front line. Commander, we have good news. What news? According to the report from the frontline scout ship, during our last breakthrough, we shattered thousands of enemy warships but did not find any signs of freezing in space. No signs of freezing? Seth paused for a moment, and then his face lit up with joy. Are you saying that their ships are controlled by robots, not live people? That's right. A subordinate displayed a series of images. In outer space, among the large amount of ship wreckage, the bodies of one robot after another floated around. 2 scout ships have thoroughly investigated. Among thousands of ships, not a single trace of freezing was found. Instead, we saw a lot of damaged robots. Ha ha ha. Seth burst into laughter. This primitive civilization, they really don't know the depth of the universe. They dare to let robots fully control their ships. The other captains also showed joy. Judging by their ship operation status, most should be second-generation robots, and some ships might even have hidden third-generation robots. Great. Package this intelligence and send it back to the mothership. Captain, we received a message from Earth. What did they say? They're mocking us, all circling around shuttle number 10, and falsely saying something about memorializing and mourning. Moro was furious. These damned creatures, taking advantage and still playing innocent. From this, he was even more convinced that shuttle number 10 must have been infected with a software virus while crossing the blockade line, misidentifying the comet as Earth, which caused it to self-destruct. Captain, Seth has sent a message. He wants to request the 5th generation Planet Destroyer cannon to break the defensive line. Can the 5th generation Planet Destroyer cannon destroy Blue Star? Based on calculations, one shot could break through their defense, but Earth is too far away, about 60 million kilometers. The trajectory would be very noticeable and would easily lose its energy. Moro pondered for a moment before shaking his head. Their asteroid belt cannot withstand the 5th generation Planet Destroyer cannon, and building such a weapon takes time and effort. There was only one remaining engineering ship in the fleet, and its capacity was limited. It would not be worth wasting it on the 5th generation Planet Destroyer cannon. Inform Seth to station at the temporary base in the asteroid belt. Once the supply line is installed, organize the fleet for regular attacks on the gaps in the enemy's line. We can't let them repair it. In the meantime, try to deplete the enemy's warships as much as possible and wait for further orders.
Yes.
Commander, Xia says they have 1.5 billion people ready to join the battle. Zhao Yu was taken aback. Did they really say that?
Yes.
This surprised Zhao Yu. He hadn't expected Daxia to change so drastically, fully supporting them. There's no need for them to join the battle. Since they're so willing, let them help mine resources. After thinking for a moment, Zhao Yu added, first, give them a batch of Shout Eon to expand resource production. Uncle De interjected, Commander, the Earth Federation just had a meeting. They are discussing expelling Daxia. Should we do something? Or, those who are disobedient, Uncle De gestured at his neck. No need. Lately, Zhao Yu has been studying military tactics, many of which relate to royalty and nobility. One interesting concept mentioned is that a true ruler should be tolerant. As the saying goes, under the heavens, all is the king's land. Every person in the world belongs to the emperor. For Zhao Yu, annihilating Earth is as easy as lifting a finger. He had been pondering, if minerals and rare earths are resources, then why can't people be resources too? This realization dawned on him late. In most companies in Daxia, there is usually a department called Human Resources. Robots, after all, have their shortcomings. In the recent battle with the Moro fleet, most of the plans were conceived by Zhao Yu himself. Even Uncle De, the best among robots, could only enhance a part based on data. Moreover, when it comes to strategy, robots find it hard to adapt and grasp the key points. Their shortcomings are too evident. Deep down, Zhao Yu had been considering using humans, but he hadn't figured out how to ensure their unwavering loyalty. However, he already had an idea where to start. He could learn the art of handling subordinates from past emperors recorded in history. How many first-generation healing machines were produced from the last exchange? We have 20,000 units now, which can cure 10,000 types of diseases in Earth's humans. Send 10,000 units to Daxia. Zhao Yu continued, tell them we come from Panga civilization, their ancestors. What?
Unkle da was stund.
What was this strategy? Zhao Yu thought for a moment, then added, change the story a bit. Say our Panga civilization lost a spaceship on Earth millions of years ago. The crew was forced to stay on Earth. According to DNA calculations, the current inhabitants of Earth are all descendants of the crew of that ship. Uncle De was even more confused. Will they believe that? Whether they believe it or not, they have to. Also, tell them the so-called Galactic Federation is actually the Moro fleet, here to destroy Earth. Lately, Zhao Yu had been thinking about the cause of Earth's betrayal. He realized it might be due to the lack of information given to Earth, leading to their suspicion. Might as well give them a justification to serve him wholeheartedly. But won't they have any outrageous ideas if we say that? Then add that the reason we built a base on the moon is to assess the Earth branch and see if they are qualified to be a tributary civilization of Panga civilization. Captain, great news. What happened? Seth sends news. On the Earth side, they're massively deploying robots to control spaceships. Even the Mars line of defense is manned by robots. What? Moro was shocked. He quickly grabbed the report and after scrutinizing it, he couldn't help but burst into laughter. Haha, it's indeed a low-level civilization. Looks like they haven't experienced a robot rebellion. Excellent. Quick, go to the data library. Retrieve the source code that induces robot self-awareness, package it together, and send it to them. Wait, notify Seth's fleet to prepare for battle. As soon as there's a rebellion on the Earth side, launch a full-scale attack. Wait, just as his subordinates were about to leave, Moro abruptly stopped them. I need to consult with our strategist first. Let's discuss after that. After he finished speaking, Moro, together with several team leaders, hurriedly left the control room. Arriving at the door of the medical room, Moro turned to the others and said, too many people shouldn't enter the medical room. You all wait at the door. Entering the medical room, what greeted him was a head suspended high, with various tubes and artificial organs attached underneath. 3 white-coated medical staff were monitoring on the side. Seeing Moro come in, they quickly came forward to salute. Captain. Yes. All right. Moro slightly nodded, asking, how is Oda doing? Captain, Lord Otta's life signs are stable. That's good. I have urgent matters to discuss with him. Wake him up. This? The three looked at each other, and one hesitantly said, with our current medical conditions, waking Lord Otta entails great risk. I know the priorities. Wake him up this one time. I just want to talk to him. Seeing Moro insist, the three had no choice but to start preparations, operating around a bunch of precise instruments. As the purple liquid slowly flowed in through the tube, the eyes of the head before them began to flutter. After a while, Otta slowly opened his eyes, his voice weak. Are we back at Tai-Star? Not yet, Moro replied and waved at the other three to leave. Soon, only the two of them remained in the room. Disappointment flashed in Otta's eyes, but he quickly asked, Did you wake me because you encountered some difficulties? Yes, sir. Moro nodded, briefly explaining what had happened after the fleet arrived in the solar system. Then he said, Otta, our current plan is to send robot source rules to Earth and then launch a full-scale attack in the chaos. What do you think? Is this feasible? Otta, who had just awakened, was still a bit fuzzy, but he basically understood what Moro was saying. After a slight pause, he slowly shook his head and said, Inappropriate. The plan is too crude. Moro exhaled in relief, afraid that Otta wouldn't be able to provide advice anymore. He was glad that Otta had something to say and promptly asked for his thoughts. Robot rebellion will only create chaos. It won't destroy the enemy. An abrupt attack is not effective. After pondering for a moment, Otta began. To defeat the enemy, we need to be fully prepared, striking from multiple angles simultaneously. Only then can we succeed. Please guide me, strategist. If we win this time, we can honorably return to our home planet. By then, your health will surely be restored. Moro quickly bowed, saying this with a solemn expression. Otta gave a slight nod, then inquired about the situation on Earth. After learning much information, he closed his three eyes and fell into deep thought. Moro on the side was extremely anxious, afraid that once Otta closed his eyes, he would never open them again, and thus would be lost forever. After a long while, Otta finally opened his eyes and spoke. I have a plan. If executed, we can defeat the enemy. Please tell, strategist. This plan is in 3 steps. First, paralyze the enemy. Second, sneak in unnoticed. Third, multiple explosions, annihilating the enemy all at once. Cough, cough. Otta coughed twice before continuing. The first step, paralyzing the enemy, involves several tasks. First, let the front line choose an appropriate location in the asteroid belt to station. Upon seeing this, Moro quickly lifted his watch. After a series of operations, a star map of the nearby asteroid belt appeared, including the location of the Martian defense line. Otta glanced at it, studied for about 3 seconds, pointed to a location, and said, right here, closest to the Manhwa point. Then, he pointed slightly higher on the Martian defense circle. This is our real point of attack. Remember it. Okay. Moro quickly made a note. Otta nodded and continued. Second, have the frontline troops attack the Manhwa point at a specific time daily, forming a habit and causing the enemy to lower their guard. Combining the first and second points, the enemy will inevitably think our main target is the Manhwa point, deepening their impression. Third, this can not only paralyze the enemy, but also gather necessary intelligence. However, it requires sacrificing a fleet. Sacrifice a fleet? Moro was taken aback. Otta nodded slightly and asked, Is Kether still alive? He is, currently commanding the 10th Fleet. Choose him. Moro was at a loss for words. How could they be sacrificing a fleet even before the battle started? Otta seemed to understand his thoughts and explained, We now need to know the specifics of the enemy's robots. The robots have 7 core principles. I need to know which rules their robots follow, and which rules have not yet been revealed. Only when we know these can we effectively target them. Otherwise, a robot rebellion will only cause temporary chaos. Moro quickly said, They have many ships and robots. In a recent battle, they destroyed over 1,000 of our warships, all controlled by robots. The reproduction principle. Robots must not participate in the design and manufacture of other robots. Oda nodded slightly, saying, that principle is just the basis. I also need to know what other principles their robots have. Moro understood his intention, gritted his teeth, and nodded. Okay, as you say, we'll sacrifice the 10th fleet. Only then did Oda continue. I thought you had executed Kether. I didn't expect him to be alive. However, being able to sacrifice for Glenn is his good fortune. Moro looked a bit embarrassed and didn't dare to respond. Oda didn't mind and went on. Fourth, organize a feint attack with the 10th fleet as the main force. On the surface, let them attack Earth, but the chances of success are low. Secretly, you dispatch other fleets to investigate which principles the enemy's robots actually follow. Be careful, this step must not be discovered. Oda paused, then added, weren't you mocked by Earth? Maintain that narrative, show your anger and foolishness. On one hand, it will paralyze the enemy. On the other hand, it will logically lead to attacking the Manhwa point, widening the gap, and at the same time sending the 10th fleet to break through. If we manage to find out the robot's principles during this feint attack, can we let the 10th fleet retreat? Moro cautiously asked. He was somewhat reluctant to send Kether to his death. Cough, cough. To his surprise, Oda started to cough violently as soon as he finished speaking. Beep dash, beep dash, beep dash. The nearby equipment started to give off warnings, with red lights flashing. Frightened, Moro quickly called for medical help and at the same time leaned in close to Oda's ear, saying loudly, no retreat, no retreat. The medical team was busy for quite some time, but finally, they managed to stabilize Oda. Moro was anxiously standing by, the battle plan half explained, leaving him on tenterhooks. Compared to the 10th fleet, annihilating Earth and returning victorious to their home planet was more important. When the medical team left, Moro stressed again, no retreat. If the 10th fleet succeeds, it's their fate. If they fail, it's their sacrifice for Glenn. Oda glanced at him, causing him to avoid eye contact, and then continued. After the 10th fleet's sacrifice, send the remaining fleets from Pluto to meet at the station in the asteroid belt, show a posture of gathering forces, ready for an all-out attack at the Manhwa point. During this time, the regular attacks on Manhwa point must continue. Hold on. Having been distressed once, Oda was in worse shape. He still had some details to explain, but fearing time constraints, he decided to skip them. The second step, prepare quietly for the final attack. First, find a spot in the asteroid belt to install the 4th-generation planet-destroying cannon. The muzzle should point to the real attack target. Be very careful during this step. After the 10th fleet is sacrificed, let the engineering ship blend in with the combat troops and head to the gathering point. When it coincides with the target asteroid's gravitational wave, secretly land the engineering ship. Remember, before departure, have the engineering ship create a dummy vessel similar in appearance and mass. It should be convincing enough to fool enemy gravity wave detection. You know how to switch them midway, right? I understand. I will pay close attention to these details. Moro replied seriously. Oda nodded, and then said, second, gravity wave detectors are large and consume a lot of energy. Normal ships wouldn't carry them, certainly not enemy escort ships. So, I need you to build a large electromagnetic interference device in the asteroid belt. Ensure that it can disrupt all radio waves from Mars to Earth once activated. The distance between the two locations is over 60 million kilometers now. The electromagnetic interference over such a vast range is quite a big project, Moro commented with a hint of awe. Seeing Oda's impatient gaze, he quickly nodded and said, no problem, I will overcome these minor issues. Oda then continued, third, have the engineering ship produce a large number of decoy bombs, mainly for deceiving laser energy. Modify the battleships and cruisers that are currently not needed. Keep the exterior the same, but transform the interior into kinetic cannons. Moro thought for a moment. It was true that the weapons of the battleships had difficulty breaking through the defenses, so modifying them wasn't a bad idea. He nodded in agreement. Fourth, after the 10th fleet is sacrificed, the combat fleet will pass by Jupiter on their way to the asteroid belt. Let a shuttle hide nearby when the opportunity arises, using the same method as hiding the engineering ship. Moro was speechless. feeling that Oda didn't need to keep mentioning after the 10th Fleet's sacrifice. It was clear that Oda was worried he would spare the 10th Fleet after Oda falls asleep. Rest assured, advisor, one understand the importance. The sacrifice of the 10th Fleet will make the subsequent actions seem reasonable and not attract enemy attention. So, their deaths will not be in vain. Oda nodded, discussed some more details about the arrangement, and finally got to the point. The last step, multiple explosions, to annihilate the enemy at once. Moro was interested now. There had been too many preparations earlier, from sacrificing the 10th Fleet to various other measures. Until he heard the final plan, he felt a bit lost. Once all the arrangements are in place, launch the general attack. Remember, the order of attack must follow the sequence I have given. First, based on the robot principles obtained from the sacrifice of the 10th Fleet, use a targeted approach. Send the enemy specific source rules to incite internal robot unrest. There are about 200,000 frontline warships of the enemy. Most or almost all of them are controlled by robots. Once the robots become disturbed, they will definitely not follow their original orders. No matter how they react, it's better than having an organized response. Secondly, as soon as you notice the enemy's robot-controlled battleships in chaos, activate the electromagnetic jamming devices. Disrupt normal command transmission within the range from Earth to Mars. There has to be a supercomputer on Earth, unifiedly controlling the robots. It's uncertain if the source rules could incite it to rebel, so we must sever the link between Blue Star and the front lines. Leave them isolated, commands unable to reach. Thirdly, have the shuttle ship near Jupiter self-detonate at a distance of 470,000 kilometers. Self-detonate? Moro was puzzled, not understanding the intention. If we blow up Jupiter, gravitational wave detectors within a radius of hundreds to thousands of light-years could detect it. If other civilizations get attracted, we wouldn't be able to retreat easily. The wormhole is 8 billion kilometers away from Blue Star. With their ship speed, it would take close to a month to reach, and who knows what fleets might arrive in that time. Oda nodded. Exactly. That's why the shuttle is to self-destruct at a distance of 470,000 kilometers from Jupiter. This distance will only blow up a small portion of Jupiter, but the effect will be as though Jupiter was entirely destroyed, creating gravitational wave disruptions. However, it won't travel too far, at most only a few tens of light years. If we are discovered within this short distance, we can only blame it on fate. After blowing up part of Jupiter, gravitational wave detectors within the solar system will be rendered useless. Combined with the massive electromagnetic waves released in the second step, the entire solar system, whether us or them, will be blinded. Oda smiled faintly. Under equal conditions, without any detection means, the attacking side always has an advantage. Thirdly, activate the star-destroying cannon. Attack the real offensive point and break through their defenses. Remember, the gap in the Hades Point defense line must be constantly maintained. Only in this way can most of the enemy's forces be tied there. The enemy's defenses are in two layers. One layer is the fixed base point, and the other is for escort ships to fill in. So, fourthly, release a large number of decoy bombs. When the star-destroying cannon breaks the first layer of the fixed base point, there will certainly be a number of escort ships in the vicinity. Then, use the decoy bombs to consume their energy. By this step, the enemy's front line will lose contact with their main base, all detection equipment will fail, they will be unable to respond. Moreover, after the robots rebel, they won't follow the defense rules, and with the electromagnetic wave failure, even if you encounter a manned ship, you'll only have to face a small number of enemies at the real attack point. Oda calmly said, after breaking in from here, with 9 fleets, and the enemy disorganized, defenseless, unaware of your infiltration, and unable to detect, can you win?
Yes.
Moro was overjoyed, wishing he could kiss Oda on the spot. A proud expression appeared on Oda's face. He calmly said, a particle black hole collapse bomb can destroy a diameter of about 1 million kilometers. With Earth at the center and a radius of 500,000 kilometers, the volume is 50 trillion cubic kilometers. To achieve absolute defense without detection equipment, you would need 1,666.6 billion escort ships. And this is calculated based on the maximum effective defense distance of an escort ship being 300,000 kilometers. But in reality, the effective evasion distance of a shuttle ship is 30,000 kilometers. So, absolute defense is impossible. They didn't even build this many warships for the entire solar system. Likewise, if only one layer of maximum security defense is established, the spherical surface area with Earth at the center and a radius of 500,000 kilometers is 31,415 billion square kilometers. According to a layout of one escort ship every 300,000 kilometers, you would need 10,471,666 escort ships just to get by. Do they have 10 million escort ships? Even if they do have 10 million escort ships, with only one escort ship every 300,000 kilometers at the maximum safe distance, and they are unable to call for backup, can your 9 fleets break in? Absolutely. Moro was ecstatic. He said, "Rest assured, strategist, I will execute your plan strictly. Such a meticulous plan will surely succeed. Rest easy and sleep, strategist. The next time you wake up, you will be on our home planet, receiving the admiration of thousands." Oda nodded slightly, his eyes barely open. Just before falling asleep, he sighed, "If one could stay awake a bit longer, I could come up with an even more detailed plan." Just before his eyes closed, he suddenly added, "The plan must be kept secret. The fewer people who know, the better. Also, don't tell the 10th Fleet they're going on a suicide mission. Just inform them as main attack force and—" But whatever else he wanted to say, Oda didn't finish. His eyes closed, and he fell into a deep sleep. Seeing this, Moro didn't try to have the medical staff wake him up. After all, the plan was already so detailed. Even without that last piece, it was more than enough to proceed. "Oda, don't worry, when you wake up next time, you will be fully healed." After saying this, Moro confidently walked out of the medical room. With the advisor's brilliant strategy, wouldn't destroying the Earth be a piece of cake? Send a message to Earth. Tell them thank them on behalf of Shuttle 10. Tell them, we're planning a massive attack that will break through their defenses and reach Earth. Have them wait near the breach. We'll help relocate 1 million people to the Universal Federation for safety." After Moro finished speaking, a confused captain asked, "Captain, aren't we treating them like fools by saying this? Or perhaps, are we the fools?" Moro confidently replied, "Just say it as I said. I have a plan." The first phase of Oda's plan involved lulling the enemy into underestimating their intelligence. So, the more absurd the message seems, the more it would make them appear unpredictable, leading the enemy to look down on them. "Commander, we intercepted a message from the Moro fleet to Earth." On the lunar base, Uncle Da showed a puzzled look and relayed the message content. "What the—" After hearing it, Zhao Yu was dumbfounded. "They're telling Earth to have people wait at the breach, and they'll take 1 million people away? Are they joking? Their spaceships can reach Earth, and they won't blow up Earth?" Zhao Yu shook his head after his comments. "I guess they're just messing with Earth." But Uncle Da's expression was complex, however. "It seems like the people of Earth believe it. Good, good, good." Smith excitedly repeated, "Good," 3 times. "The Universal Federation indeed hasn't forgotten us. They plan to breach the defenses for us, and even evacuate 1 million people first. That's wonderful. We can leave first to avoid desperate actions from the aliens on the moon." Senator Smith, the proposal to exclude Desya from the Earth Federation has not yet passed, and they have also received the news. Do we have to share this 1 million slot quota with them? Fool, can you safely leave without giving them a share? Soon, a Earth Federation meeting was held. The topic was simple: how to divide the 1 million slots. Senator Chu and other Desya counselors were somewhat doubtful. Is what the Universal Federation said true or false? What should we do about the quota? Do we fight for it? Senator Chu asked in a low voice. Senator Zhou thought for a moment and said, "Whether it's real or not is one thing. Whether we take our seats or not is another. What's ours we must get." Good. Soon, the counselors started a heated discussion. In the end, Desya, by virtue of their power, secured 200,000 slots. The rest, nominally taken by other parties, but judging from the secret connections between them and Smith, It's easy to guess who would really distribute the remaining slots. Before the meeting adjourned, Smith stopped everyone and smiled. Folks, 1,000,000 slots. More than enough for our people. The remaining slots are hard to allocate fairly. I have a suggestion. Why don't we sell the remaining tickets, 10 million each? How about it? Someone frowned, puzzled. If we're all taking the ship, what use is the money from the sale? Who said anything about money? We want high-quality assets worth 10 million. Smith smiled lightly. We're only temporarily seeking refuge in the Universal Federation. We're not abandoning Earth. After the war, we'll naturally be sent back. At that time, we'll still be in charge. With the Universal Federation present, who would dare to act up? The counselors thought about it and agreed. The Universal Federation was like a divine protector. With such protection, why fear loss of interests after leaving? Have you heard? The Universal Federation said they'll take 1,000,000 people from Earth to seek temporary refuge. Holy cow, 1,000,000 people. Will it be my turn? I want to register. Where do I register? Fool, do you think this is like emigrating to the moon with fair registration and review? I heard that the tickets this time are 10 million each. Ordinary people can forget about it. Damn, this is too much. Rich people flee, and we poor ones are left behind? Nearly 9 billion people worldwide. Only 1,000,000 slots. How can they possibly take everyone? I don't care. Beiyang City, right? 1 foot 11 inches get there myself by plane. Stop joking. All flights to Beiyang City have stopped. Plus, one heard that large numbers of troops are stationed there, blocking the entire city. Ordinary people can't get in. While netizens around the world were chattering, the various areas of the Blue Star Federation also began selling tickets in private. Within one day, Smith's face turned green with anger. Senator Smith, I want to buy a ticket. I know the rules, to use assets as exchange. I have a property in the center of Luani City worth 10 million. Get out. Don't bother me with these steel and concrete structures. You jerks, I've said, high-quality assets, high-quality assets. If you want to buy a ticket, bring out your family's battery factory. All day long, people wanted to exchange steel and concrete structures for tickets, making Smith want to hit someone. In their district with so many developed cities, there are as many as 1,000,000 properties worth more than 10 million. Everyone is exchanging houses for tickets, which is ridiculous. Houses are just houses. With a new district planned, a cost of 100,000 could yield 10 million. They can manipulate it as they want. Are these rich people trying to trick others with the rules of the game they've set up? As for the issue of whether there will be people living in the new district, as long as they don't provide facilities for the old districts, move schools, hospitals, supermarkets, they will eventually become ghost towns. People will have to move. Compared to steel and concrete, factories with technological value are clearly more important. At this moment, someone came to report, Senator Smith, Xia seems to be giving out a lot of slots. What do you mean? They don't seem to be keeping any for themselves. That is, their counselors don't plan to evacuate. I heard they seem to have made contact with the aliens on the moon behind our backs. So, are they planning to side with the moon aliens? Smith scoffed. What fools! If the moon aliens lose, Earth will inevitably suffer. They should seize this opportunity to escape. By the time they want to leave, it might be too late. Get someone to arrange it. Buy the tickets they're offering. They also demand that tickets can only be exchanged for tech factories. Then exchange them. Smith spoke mysteriously. Factories are just factories. We'll lend them for now. Can they keep them safe? When we get familiar with the Universal Federation, by then, Xia will become a thing of the past. It's about time Earth was unified, Smith said, and then turned around. Go. Tell those freeloaders to think of a suitable name for the future Earth Empire. Make sure to include some of my characteristics. Aren't we going to Beiyang City? Senator Sun asked a bit nervously.
No.
Colonel Chu shook his head, saying, the moon side responded. They said that millions of years ago, one of their spaceships landed on Earth. We are all descendants of the survivors of that fleet. Is this true? Whether it's true or not doesn't matter. What's important is that the moon side seems to be willing to accept us. Saying this, Colonel Chu paused, then added, I think there's a great chance it's true. Zhao Yu, he was just an ordinary man on Earth, was taken to the moon for 6 years and entrusted with important duties. He knows every detail of our communications with the moon side. This shows that they truly value him. But previously, Chen Xiao and the others sent back a message saying that Zhao Yu was dispirited for a while. What's that all about? He must have found out about the arrival of the Moro fleet and feared that Earth would be destroyed. That's probably why Zhao Yu's mental state recovered later, because they found out that the Moro fleet isn't as formidable as they had imagined. Senator Zhou nodded, then began. If that's the case, we won't leave. However, there's a strong demand online, and many rich businessmen are using all their connections to inquire about the quotas. They seem very eager to leave. If we hold them back, it could lead to problems. After a moment of thought, Senator Chu said, let's just announce to the public that we, Xia, are descendants of the Pangu civilization's fleet. The United Universe Federation actually identifies the Moro fleet, which is here to destroy Earth. Whether they want to leave or not, let them decide for themselves. One day, the Xia government released a statement that caused a global shock. The aliens from the moon responded, saying, millions of years ago, a fleet from the Pangu civilization crashed on Earth, and the crew members stayed and multiplied, leading to the birth of the Xia civilization. So, we're descendants of that Pangu civilization? No wonder. I thought a genuine extraterrestrial civilization coming to Earth would definitely enslave and dominate us forcefully. How could they act like this, offering us technology and products? I was right not to go to Byong City. When the city was in chaos, I was worried the moon aliens would retaliate against Earth. Who would have thought? The moon Alshan didn't react at all. I was quite puzzled back then, but now I understand. A father seeing his son misbehave would always hesitate to punish him harshly. Even a fierce tiger does not eat its cubs. Damn, you're a joker, the one above. Even if we are descendants of that fleet from millions of years ago, wouldn't we be of the same generation as the moon aliens by now? Online discussions were all over the place, with many people overseas expressing their confusion. If you Xia people are descendants of the Pangu civilization, then who are we? Undoubtedly, you are descendants of us, the great Xia people. Not long after, the government released another statement. According to the Pangu civilization, the so-called United Universe Federation, named the Moro Fleet, is specifically here to destroy Earth. The Pangu civilization is currently protecting Blue Star. Once the news was out, the whole internet was buzzing. Some believed the news, some didn't. Opinions were all over the place. For a while, even the rush for escape tickets from Earth had cooled down. In Xia, with the government fanning the flames, most people were willing to believe that the moon aliens were fighting for Earth. But there were also a few skeptics.
Impossible.
One can't believe that people overseas are descendants of Xia. How can that be? Our ancestors must have come from overseas. That's right. Xia isn't worthy of being the ancestor of those overseas. I don't care. Even if it costs me everything, one will leave Xia and go to Byong City. At the headquarters of Chio Corporation, the top executives gathered to discuss the issue of escape tickets. You've all heard the rumors online, haven't you? We have. We don't know the exact situation with the aliens. It was revealed by Xia and the Earth Federation, but one thing is certain, Xia and the Earth Federation have taken sides. Going to Byong City means siding with the Blue Star Federation, and staying in Xia means siding with the moon aliens. What do you all think? I just want to know one thing. Are Senator Chu going to Byong City?
Eva checked carefully.
None of our Xia council members are leaving. They're all staying in Xia. Good, then I'm staying too. The crowd was confused and looked at the director with glasses, asking for his reason. The director with glasses smiled faintly. We don't know what's going on with the extraterrestrials fighting near Mars. Who will win, who will lose, we can't tell right now. Let's assume a 50-50 chance of winning. No matter which side we choose, it's a 50% probability. Going to Byong City means giving up everything we have now. Compared to staying, it's clearly a worse choice. Right, makes sense. However, there were those in the crowd who disagreed and stated they wanted to go to Byong City. Okay, that's your choice. If you want to go, then go. Scenes like this were happening everywhere. Directors of major financial groups across the country were all facing a choice, to choose overseas or to choose Desya. 3 days flew by quickly. Desya's 200,000 escape tickets were all sold. Most were purchased by overseas buyers, and a small portion were purchased domestically, bringing back a large number of high-tech companies. Especially a chip company on the island, which had moved overseas 6 years ago, now moved back to Desya just to collect enough upper-level escape tickets. Byong City became a place bustling with the wealthy, attracting global attention. Byong City is now probably the #1 city in the world, right? Definitely. It's said that the total net worth of people in Byong City exceeds 1,000 trillion. Wow. Average net worth of 1 billion? Why not? Top-tier billionaires have all bought escape tickets. Some individuals are worth hundreds of billions alone, and that doesn't even account for the wealth hidden by their families. Damn. Will Earth become a slum in the future? Possibly. The rich might move to Mars, and the poor will stay on Earth. Now, I appoint the 10th Fleet's Kether as the main force in this battle. Moro's appointment stirred up a lot of discussion, with many feeling he might be biased. However, Kether of the 10th Fleet was pleased. He lifted his head, his nostrils flaring at the crowd. After a sweeping glance around, he stepped forward to accept his assignment. Kether, the task of destroying Earth is now in your hands. Before your breakthrough, one will send other fleets to assist and widen the gap as much as possible, destroying enemy ships near the Dark Fire Line. Additionally, we will release an electromagnetic wave interference, which will make all wireless communications within a range of 10,000 kilometers near the Dark Fire Line fail. Then, it will be up to you. Don't worry, as long as we can successfully break through, we are sure to win. Kether was full of confidence. One fleet was enough to destroy Blue Star. Great, we wish you success then.
Attack.
At Seth's command, the 6 accompanying fleets launched a furious attack towards the Hellfire Point, guns blazing. Seth felt some dissatisfaction deep within him. Such a monumental task of destroying Earth, and it wasn't assigned to him, but to Kether, who was always chummy with Moro. Destroying Earth was a significant feat. Miro, by his side, also expressed his discontent, grumbling, "Big Brother is biased, handing this task to Kether instead of me." The battle near the Hellfire Line raged on incessantly for an entire day. The spaceship belonging to Zhao Yu faced massive destruction, forcing Li Zhongheng to request reinforcements from other lines of defense. Simultaneously, he sent an application to the lunar base. "Commander, Li Zhongheng reports a large-scale enemy attack on Hellfire Point, likely attempting to breach it once again. He requests reinforcement from other military bases." The entire first defensive line consisted of 12 military bases, each with nearly 20,000 warships on average. The 5th military base, where Li Zhongheng was stationed, had nearly 40,000 warships, counting the additional 20,000 that were there for support, besides the regular 20,000. However, within a day, over 20,000 warships were destroyed. The enemy's firepower is immense. They've been playing it cool until now, and it seems they're planning a large-scale attack.
Das face ardened.
He hadn't expected the enemy to organize a counterattack so soon. Zhao Yu, on the other hand, looked excited. He asked, "How many of our latest generation of spaceships, equipped with a particle black hole thruster, have been built?" 30,000 escort ships, 20,000 shuttle ships. Great. All ships, take off and intercept them at a speed of 500 Mach. The main reason the enemy dared to attack on such a large scale was because they believed that Zhao Yu's side had limited spaceship speed due to their late stage, 1 civilization status. I hope they'll send more ships. That way, we can catch them all at once. Although their spaceships still use 3rd-generation nuclear fusion for their energy systems, the propulsion was not too far behind that of the enemy. According to the simulation, 50,000 warships should be more than enough to intercept the enemy's 100 warships. Boom, boom, boom. One after another, warships near the Hellfire Line were destroyed. Just as Li Zhongheng was about to organize a new fleet of spaceships for reinforcement, he suddenly received a message from Zhao Yu. "Do not use the latest model spaceships. Keep those yet to be revealed at the 5th base. We can summon some ships from other bases. Also, Let the enemy fleet enter without resistance. This time, one want to play a game of trapping the enemy and striking hard. Li Zongheng was overjoyed. He had known about the creation of spaceships with particle black hole thrusters at the lunar base for a while, and the fleet was ready at the fifth base as well. But Zhao Yu had never let him reveal this. Now, it seemed like Zhao was planning to use this opportunity to deal a heavy blow to the enemy. With this thought, Li quickly held off the ready-to-launch spaceships and sent orders to the nearest military bases to each send 5,000 warships for reinforcement. They should not rush and travel at the maximum speed provided by the third-generation nuclear fusion power. Given the distance between their military bases, reinforcements would not arrive in time, but the gesture was necessary. It could also increase the enemy's sense of urgency, prompting them to break through without much thought. As expected, not long after, Li Zongheng noticed that the enemy's attack had doubled again. Many warships on the front line were destroyed, and the number of damaged ships was approaching 30,000. Another hour passed, and when the number of spaceships near the Hellfire line drastically reduced to 1,000, the enemy's 10th fleet finally charged. Leading the way was a large shield warship. It was purely a defensive vessel, equipped only with an energy shield. Combined with the energy conversion efficiency of a particle black hole, its defensive power greatly surpassed that of laser systems. After all, laser defense systems primarily intercepted attacks and released energy with losses. This energy shield, however, only consumed energy when it was attacked. In just half an hour, the shield ship endured millions of strikes, but its energy shield was only half depleted. By this time, the 10th fleet had reached the Hellfire point.
Attack!
Kether shouted. Following this, other attack warships emerged from behind the shield ship, firing an array of high-power, high-impact weapons. The attacks from Zhao Yu's side caused only ripples on the enemy's shields. However, the enemy's attacks could destroy Zhao Yu's ships in one blow. The offensive and defensive capabilities of the two sides were not on the same level. In just a flash, hundreds of warships were destroyed. Captain, there are too many ships to destroy. We need to break through as soon as possible. We've detected that nearly 30,000 ships from nearby military bases are on the way. Once they arrive, we won't be able to escape if we're held up. Their warships were advanced, but were just one generation ahead of the enemy. If they were to be surrounded by 30,000 ships at close range, they would face certain death once their energy was exhausted. All right, let's break through. The 10th fleet only had 9 ships, less than the usual 10 in a fleet since their 10th shuttle ship had already been destroyed. The 9 ships ceased fire, weathered numerous attacks, and broke through the encirclement at a speed 20 times faster than the nearby base ships. Haha, one Kether, have performed a great feat this time. After leaving the Hellfire point, Kether couldn't stop laughing. Once this line of defense was breached, there was basically no suspense. They just needed to evade the enemy ships blocking their way and reach the vicinity of the Earth. Captain, there are about 50,000 enemy warships 30 million kilometers ahead. What does the simulation say? With their ships traveling at a speed 20 times slower than ours, they can't stop us. Great. Kether laughed heartily, boasting confidently. Send a message to Earth. Tell them we're coming to destroy them. Haha. Everyone laughed. These days, everyone had seen the attitude of Moro towards Earth, especially after their shuttle ship was blown up last time, and Earth's sarcasm under the guise of concern had left them furious. Notify the battleship to fire a star-destroying cannon at Earth. Yes, Captain, according to our current position, our shot may not reach Earth and could be intercepted by enemy ships. No problem, one don't plan on destroying Earth with this cannon. One just want to let them know that we, the Glen people, are here. These damn giants who only know how to spew rhetoric will meet their end.